No more songs. Oh shit, I screwed that up. There we go. There we go. Awesome. Welcome everybody to Play by Play. My name is Sean Bouchard. I am super excited to be here tonight. I am playing a game called Betrayal at Krondor, which I'm sure most of you have never heard of. This is, I didn't look up the date on this. I'm gonna guess, oh god, I'm gonna guess 95? Yeah, 93, 94, 95, something like that. That's my guess. This is a classic Dynamix game, back when Dynamix was a separate company, or a sub-brand. Actually, maybe it was owned by Sierra, but it was its own brand. I am going to, like, totally, without any source backing this up, claim that this is one of the very first, at least Western, open world RPGs. That's probably super wrong. It's probably super wrong. But it's certainly the first one that I ever played. It's the first one that I am sort of aware of, and it is, it foreshadows modern, again, like, I know that there's a lot of, like, Eastern RPG culture that I'm not 100% up on. My sense is that most Japanese RPGs are not open world, in the same way that Western open world RPGs are, like Skyrim, for example, or Fallout, or even like Mass Effect. This is, you know, the progenitor to those sort of like big franchises that we think of today. This is also sort of fascinatingly, I was having a conversation with my coworker Jesse about the legacy of sort of J.R.R. Tolkien knockoffs. And knockoffs is a strong word, like that's unfair, but authors of I mean, like, white guys who author epic fantasy tomes, who build these, like, giant high fantasy worlds over a series of books. And today that would be, like, George R.R. Martin, right? We think of as, like, the modern day Tolkien, and probably, like, the preceder to that was like Robert Jordan. Well, back in the early 90s, it was a guy named Raymond E. Feist. And Feist wrote a series of books that I think were set in Midkemia, I think was the name of it. But like all of these, it's a pseudo-medieval, a high fantasy, like, swords and sorcery setting, elves and magic and trolls and dwarves. Pretty sure there are dwarves, but his own take on all of them. Anyway, this is a game that I played in, like, middle school, early middle school, I would say, and I played a lot. And I'm super excited to explore it with you guys. I think it's actually a pretty good game. It might not be a good stream. We'll see how it fares. But it also is, it has a designed experience, and then it has a lot of sandbox around that, or not sandbox, but leeway. And I'll show you what I mean. But the way that I played it as a child is probably non-typical. It's certainly not the intended experience, but it is certainly allowed by the rules of the game. It's a sort of type of min-maxing, and I'm probably not going to go full bore for this, for playing the game on stream, but we'll maybe take a hybrid approach of playing the story as it's written, and then also not doing that. So yeah, let's get to it. Let's play Betrayal at Krondor. I'm gonna start a new game. We're gonna see like the style and quality of graphics in this game are amazing. Not because the quality of the graphics are you know, anything to sort of point at according to today's standards, certainly, but this is, you know, this is the era of like Myst, for example. And here's a game that takes a similar sort of production quality as Myst, and says, instead of making a relatively contained puzzle game, and Myst is, you know, not small, but it is well contained, let's make something that feels more sprawling, spatially and narratively. And how can we use the same kind of budget and the same kind of technology to create something that has a very, very different feeling? And so you'll see that the game world looks super different than Myst and looks far more primitive. But that's sort of a concession to the constraints of it's actually much, much bigger and more varied than Myst was. And then there's a lot of different, I would argue, cohesive art styles that are used in this game in various areas. So anyway, this is a literary game, by which I mean it is an adaptation of a series of books, or it is an entry into a series of thick, flowery tomes, and so it does not do this very often, but it starts the game and it starts the chapters with pages of text, just like a scene-setting text. The quality of which is pretty good. Actually, the quality of the writing in this game is at least decent. I'm pretty sure, as I recall, it is at least decent, and I think that holds true. Blood-soaked rags collected at the boy's feet. One by one, he tended the wincing soldier's purple wounds, stitched, salved, bandaged, did what little he could in the leaping golden halo of firelight. Fortunately for his roadside patient, he could do more than most. Fingers slick with alum ointment, he worked fervently to tie off a catgut cord, then brushed the injury with a light touch that to the untrained eye would seem only a friendly pat. Others would recognize the telltale hand gesture as a magical ward against infection. Done, Owen sighed, wiping his hand in a rust-covered colored cloth. No guarantees, though. The stitches may hold all the way to Lamut, and then again, push too hard, and you could be bleeding like a stuck pig at Midsummer's. You did fine, Signor, Signor? I've never actually had to say that word before. Let's go with Signor, Locklear replied, smiling approval before rolling down his sleeve. It'll scar, but it's good for a noble's reputation. Lets the kingdom folk know he isn't resting on his laurels, and it impresses the ladies. I'll be sure to look you up in Tilburn if I ever need stitching up again. So we've established two characters, right? One is a lord, a noble, who is not above getting his hands dirty in a fight. The other one is a peasant boy who is a healer and also something of a magician. Has some magical talent. The boy accepted the compliment with a humble nod while he packaged away the rest of his medical supplies. His thoughts focused instead on a third man who slumped in the shadows across from them. Despite the manacles that bound the stranger's hands and the distance that separated them, the boy felt dreadfully exposed, his avenues of escape limited should Locklear's elven-looking prisoner decide to liberate himself. What did he do? Owen whispered, jerking his head toward the man. Gorath? Let's just say he had the disadvantage of being at the wrong place at the wrong time, Locklear said cautiously. He snatched a greenish apple out of his knapsack, offering one to Owen. I have to take him to Krondor. Did he kill someone? Owen asked. No. He attacked you. The seigneur wiped apple juice from his mouth, shook his head. No, not exactly. Well, who cut you up then? Before Locklear could reply... Video. Gorath leapt forward, his chains writhing between his wrists like metallic vipers. Get out from underfoot, Owen. Assassin in the camp. Look, it's an assassin in the camp. Gorath has captured him. Do not struggle so, Haseth. I wish to keep you alive. But be glad I do not. The goddess of death will show you greater mercy. Oh, I thought there was a sound effect that went with that. There is! I turned off the audio! Guys, hold on. Sorry. I've denied you the fantastic audio from this game. Alright, well now it's on. Oh, shit. Okay. At some point we will we'll hear the opening credit sequence again on some other segment. But let me just say that this game came in the era of the CD-ROM. The single CD-ROM, right? When a game was packaged on a single CD-ROM disc, and then eventually they were packaged on multiple discs. But single CD-ROM. And that CD-ROM had the advantage of being partitioned so that all of the game data was in the first audio track. Like, it had the audio headers. And then all of the game music was actually encoded as CD audio tracks beyond the first one. So you could put it into a CD player and play the music to this game just like as audio. And I did that fucking nonstop. I listened to this game soundtrack all the time when I was a kid. Okay, that's the introduction. 3 characters. Locklear, Owen, Gorath. Party-based RPG, right? Let's just click on Locklear here. Locklear's got an inventory. Owen has his own inventory. Gorath has an inventory. The inventories are... oh no, I can click on... Can I not? I can't unequip. Okay, alright. So Gorath has a sword and armor. Owen doesn't have any armor, but he's got a staff because he's a mage. Everybody's got rations. One of the things that you need to do in this game, it's super important, is inspect your rations to make sure that they aren't spoiled. After a period of time, they will spoil, and then they'll make you sick if you eat them. You can kind of see, it doesn't really show it, but you can see that like this inventory is grid based. So this package of rations takes up, you know, 1 square, and a sword takes up 2 squares. And armor, you know, is larger, takes up 4 squares. So as I collect items, they're actually going to pack into my inventory sort of according to their size. And I don't have to manually pack them. It will auto-pack them for me, but I do have to sort of like deal with all of that. And then stats. No, this is the main menu. Where are my character stats? Oh, there we go. And then, so each of my characters has stats. RPG, right? Defense, accuracy crossbow, accuracy melee, accuracy casting, all of this stuff that characters can do. Gorath is really good at crossbow, armor craft, weapon craft. He's my crafter. He's good at stealth and scouting. Locklear is melee combat, also pretty good at armor craft and weapon craft. Has some lockpick, has like is decent at a lot of things. And then Owen has casting, which nobody else has barding and haggling, which other people don't really have. Stealth is an interesting one because your stealth is going to be basically, your party's stealth is equal to the lowest stealth value that your party has. So that's something that you don't, it's not like something you want somebody to become expert in. Barding, Owen is going to be my bard, and I'm going to pump this stat up. And I don't care about anybody else's barding, but stealth is sort of like everybody needs stealth. Owen also has spells. I've got 5 of them to start with, and they come in different schools. Oh my god, I'm so excited about this game. I'm just like, I can't stop. All of these spells have like fantastically different effects in combat, and we'll see them when we get into combat. Oh yeah. I can click on, like, there's lots of opportunities to get narrative in this game, and we're not gonna just look at them all. Okay, that's most of this stuff. I've got 2 ways to interact with the world, and you can see here, right? Like, this is not the same. First of all, it's certainly not the same resolution as Myst. Somebody, if somebody wouldn't mind, I am actually really curious now what year this game came out, because it might have actually been like 1990, and Myst I think was 95, right? I want to say this was a year or 2 before Myst, but it's, you know, same era. So graphical quality is not nearly as good as Myst. Myst used the technique of giving you 1993. Oh, it was on the title screen. Thanks, Thano. So Myst had like high quality computer generated graphics and some real world props and photography, but not a lot of them. Mostly just in the characters, right? In the brothers, that was all video. But it would take these pre-rendered scenes and transition between them. This is much simpler geometry, right? I'm looking at trees and mountains. I've got like a character that's sort of just laying here. That's Horgath, the guy that Gorath just killed. That's probably not his name. But it's dynamic, and it's not quite continuously dynamic. So this is a first-person view, and I can move with arrow keys. Oh, that's weird. So I can move backward like that, and sometimes I trigger events. I forgot about this. Gorath seemed distant, though the Mordell warrior didn't appear grieved about killing the assassin that followed them from the Northlands. His eyes had a baleful look in them that seemed something between hatred and rage. Several times he glanced back at the corpse that lay behind them in the dust, his thoughts unguessable from his expression. Do you wish to bury him? We could do that. It is not our way. I simply am somewhat disturbed that he should come after me. He was a kinsman. There are other things that trouble me as well. Delican's assistants are slow, but not altogether stupid. Another like Haseth, that's his name, and you'll only have my corpse to drag before your Prince Arutha. Sorry, you don't get off that easy. As long as you are under my command, you are forbidden to die, Moradel. I've gone too much trouble keeping you alive to bury you now. It's time that we took the chains off you. It'll be far easier for you to defend yourself if your hands are free to swing a sword again. So, establishing the story, right? Locklear was transporting this prisoner, and the exact circumstances of the prisoner. Is this music loud? Is this good? I feel like I'm shouting over it, but whatever. The circumstances under which this prisoner was captured are a little bit sketchy, but his kinsmen are setting assassins after him. He's been released to be a fighting member of the party. Meanwhile, they picked up this useful healer mage who has no idea what the fuck is going on. Music's a little loud. Let me just turn it down just a little bit. Like that. You're not going to just set him free, are you? I thought you said he was your prisoner. He is my prisoner, Owen, but the circumstances are terribly complicated. Even if he chose to sneak off, he'd be lucky to make it to the next town alive. This is the 3rd such assassin we've run into since we left the Northlands, and I have a feeling that more will be waiting for us. He will be much safer with me, and I with him. As the boy would be. If he were to whisper the wrong word in the wrong ear, he could easily be the death of us. Me? Who am I going to talk to? I'm not even heading in the same direction. It wouldn't matter of who you talk to, Owen. There will be ears listening for word of a Moradel traveling with a noble. Damnation, I should have thought about this when you entered camp. For the time being, you're my squire. Once you arrive safely at the palace, you'll be free to go your own way. But I have pressing business in Tyburn. This is not a subject of debate. We must get to Krondor. Okay, so keep in mind how important and urgent our mission is. My mission is of critical importance, and I don't have the time to improvise an easy solution. The only other possible option would be to slit your throat and leave you dying. I have absolutely no desire to do that. Now let's get moving before Delacan's assassins catch our scent again. They'll likely come looking when Haseth doesn't return from his mission. Okay, so as I was saying, God, this is going to be hard to play. I should get like a keypad or something. No, exit. So as I was saying, you can see that the geometry is actually being dynamically drawn, right? These trees, this mountain, they're all the view is updating, and I can like look at this tree and back up and walk towards it, and then I can like walk over here and turn around and like face the tree again. I think it was that one there. And so I get like a real sense of space that's harder to convey in a game like Myst because it doesn't have those transitional moments. Again, this is not like we're used to being able to play first-person shooters where this kind of movement is incredibly smooth. Also, this game predates the discovery of the strafe as a as like a useful tool in the first-person genre of games. So there's no way to strafe. You can only move forward, backward, left, and right. However, the world is much bigger because of that. You can have this view where you can see I am this arrow, and I can actually move through this, and you can see me turn. My compass updates as I turn, and I can sort of move around in this view as well. The problem with this view is that I don't see any of the shit that's in the world. Like, for example, here is a campfire. The ashes were cold, wiping the grime off his hands. Locklear shook his head. Someone or something obviously set up camp here, but it's hard to say just when. So that's a narrative moment, but here is a fucking chest that I wouldn't have found. Locklear grit his teeth. While they had agreed the box should be opened, he was privately concerned the previous user might have left behind an unpleasant surprise. I didn't do it here because this is sort of like the introductory area. This game is also like marvelously well designed from an experience standpoint. This is like a little introductory area where we learn about the characters. The only thing that I would change today is to get rid of the 3 pages of text at the beginning and try to insert that like bit by bit into the first 10 minutes of the game. But whatever. So, opening this chest is teaching me that some chests in this world are trapped. And unless you are very high level, opening a trapped chest will just fucking kill you. So, this is a game that's called Save Before Opening Chests. Alright, so I found some money in here, and I can take that money. How do I take money? I thought I double-clicked on things. No, I drag it. No? I drag it to a person. Yeah, like that. Okay, so then that updated my party money. I thought I could double click on things. Anyway, this chest that I just opened does not appear on the map here. So I can navigate sort of more easily and more quickly and more reliably. I can see where roads are, and I can work my way around mountains if I do this overhead map, but I can't actually see what's in the world in front of me. And sometimes that means that I'll miss potentially valuable things, and sometimes it means that I will walk into enemies who are waiting for me and can ambush me. Okay, here is wherever the fuck we are. I still want to say Midkimia. I am up here. There's Yaban. There's Lamut. Lamut will probably be the... No, we might actually go to Yaban first. But you'll get a sense of scale when we travel to these two towns. They're not far, but they're this is significant. This is not a trivial distance. And then you can see there are, you know, a couple dozen towns throughout the world along different routes, right? So from Quester's View, I can go this way and get to Egli, or I can go this way and get to Sarth. From Zune, I could go to Hawk's Hollow, down to Eggley to Tenurs, and then around to Krondor. Or I could go straight down from Zune to Quester's View, to Sarth, to Krondor. Or, as we might do, probably not, but maybe, I've done it before, Yaban to Tirsag, to Eldpoint, to High Castle, to Wolfram, to Denkamp on the Teeth, to Kenting Rush, to Caval Keep, to Prank Stone, to Romney, to Sloop, to Silden, to Lighton, to Malik's Cross, to Darkmoor, and then to Krondor, right? Like, the game does not prevent us from doing that. The game actually does, in the first chapter, I believe, prevent us from going to Armengar and all of this northern land. But it will let us take this sort of upper route across the kingdom to get down to Krondor. We can also take it as far as High Castle and then cut down through Moorwood. I maybe am confusing this with a J.R. Tolkien Lord of the Rings place name, but something like that. Whatever the fuck this wood is called. Like, we can cut through the wood and find a way to ford these rivers and then come back down to Sethanon, which, frankly, we don't want to do because Sethanon is haunted. Anyway, yes, this is the game. This is the game that we're playing. And I got that chest. I should see if I can remap these keys, because it's kind of driving me crazy that I can't use WASD, is what I'm used to using. Anyway, what happened to that assassin... whatever his name was. He was around here somewhere, and then I lost him. But he was carrying shit, I'm pretty sure. Maybe I really did lose him. I thought he was on the edge. Oh, yeah, he's out here. There we go. There he is. Owen looked for supplies. Feeling a bit like a vulture, he turned the body this way and that and searched for anything that might be of use to them on their journey. All in all, he supposed that if he were the dead man, it wouldn't matter to him any longer what happened to his belongings. 4 rations. Good rations. I can give them all to Locklear, or I can split them more or less evenly with the party. I think who's gonna be my lockpick? It's not Owen. It's Locklear. Okay, so I'm gonna give all my lockpicks to Locklear. This is a healing potion, which actually probably everybody should have some of. So let me consolidate like that. And then let's do the same with rations. Right. Like that. Okay. And then Owen is gonna need some armor, and we got like real shit armor here. We got good swords, but not much else. So we're gonna have to equip up. And there's also so there's a day-night cycle. The whole game is turn-based though, right? So every I can spin around as much as I want. Like, it lets me look, and that doesn't cost anything. But as soon as I start walking down the path, you'll see it gets darker and darker and darker. And I've turned on this, which is the road follow. So as long as I keep going like this, I'll follow the road. And I can do the same thing going back. All right, so now it's dark. Dark is scary. I'm gonna sleep until morning, and then like keep going. Dark is only really scary because it's harder to see. I mean, it's actually not that scary. There's two systems associated with night. One is you have to sleep at least a little bit every night, or your party gets tired. And as they get tired, their stats go down. The other is that as it gets dark in the world, it is hard to see shit that's in the world, right? Like, you want to find chests, you want to see enemies, and it's really hard to do that. So it's good to sleep at night. You see, if I'm following this road too quickly, it's actually really easy for me to miss that chest. Ruffin, it's... Oh, Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so again, this is the intro area. So it's teaching us how to play the game. It's showing us some of the basic elements, the basic elements that will be in here. Rough in its construction and banded with iron, the Mordell box would be impossible to open without solving its word lock, and judging by the marks on the face of the chest, others had learned that lesson after much difficulty. Gorath, because Gorath is in my party, speaks Elvish and can translate. Gorath scanned the runes embossed on the Mordell clue plate, its text their only hope of opening the difficult word lock. Here we go. Prince Arutha, from his lofty perch, will find our troops without a search. His men will fall, his castle too. And then what will Prince Arutha do? You guys know the answer to this if you were following on Twitter. But you can see each of these letters is a spinner and has 4 options on it. So I can, like, it's a combo lock, right? It's a letter-based combo lock. The idea is that here's a riddle, and you try to solve the riddle, and if you can solve the riddle, then you put in the combo here, and it opens the chest. Today, if you were given a riddle that was too difficult for you to solve, you would go on the internet, and the answers to all of these are and would be available on the internet in some kind of like walkthrough. In 1993, the internet was in its infancy in a lot of ways, and that kind of thing was not available, or at least was not available in a place where 11-year-old Sean knew how to find it. And so if I couldn't figure out a riddle, then the recourse left to me, if I was not, if I didn't want to just give up on it, if it was late at night and there was an episode of Star Trek Next Generation on, and I was just kind of killing time because who wants to go to bed? Oh God, those days. I would just sit here and try to brute force it, right? Like, so AOW, it's none of those. How about ARW? It's none of those. How about AEW? It's none of those. How about AIW? It's none of those. We're not going to do that. We're not going to sit here for hours, literally hours, and just explore the security concept of a combo locks code space. That's where I learned sort of, you know, valuable lessons about how difficult it is to crack codes. The chest thumped. Here's some glorious stuff. Although you'll notice that this one, even so, this is an unusual chest in a couple of ways. One is that it is pretty specifically embedded in the narrative of the world, right? It's a Mordell chest. It's from the Mordell's specific perspective. That the Northern Elves, the Mordells, are at war with the kingdom. And so Prince Arutha, who is the leader of the kingdom, like, that's a specific narrative. We are going to kill the leader of our enemy. So it's like very embedded in that narrative. Most of these, as you saw from the riddles that I posted on Twitter, are more traditional riddles where there's not that kind of, you know, they're more just sort of like common objects. It's also only 3 letters long, which means that it's relatively easy to crack if you don't know the answer. Whereas the 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 letter ones become, you know, exponentially harder. Jet lag. Let me express the ridiculous passion that I have about this game. This is like pure nostalgia for me. Okay. Someone was calling. Here's another triggered event. There aren't a ton of these in this game, but there are a few, and they're mostly at the beginning. Someone was calling. Recognizing the lilt of a young voice, Owen turned and looked back down the road. A young squire that he had met at a party in Yaban was trudging behind them, a pack full of scrolls slung over his shoulder. The squire waved congenially, and Owen echoed the motion. "What do you think you're doing? We're trying to remain unnoticed." "Damn," Locklear muttered as under his breath. "Try to behave as normally as possible. Since you know him, you handle him, Owen. And remember, Gorath's name is Thorgath," Owen finished, irritated. "I'm not a child, you know." Locklear whispered, "That remains to be seen." "I didn't expect to see you quite so soon. I would have thought you all the way to Lamont by now." Squire Philip says, "Would have been if the Duchess hadn't insisted on introducing me to all of her daughters. Amelia was the prettiest, I believe, though I think Catherine took quite a liking to you." Catherine took a liking to everyone at the party. She's as fickle as her mother. She'll likely marry a condoin if she can find one not tied in the marital knot. I have no idea what that means, but clearly it's a reference to the world, and you should probably read all of Raymond E. Feist's novels if you would like to know. True enough. Say, I thought you said you were from Tyburn. Why are you taking this route home? Kind of a long way around, isn't it? Well, yes, but then I had to meet up with my Uncle Locklear here, and my other friend here is an elf, Thorgath. They decided that it would be nice for me to take a tour with them down to Hawks Hollow. Down to Hawks Hollow. I hear it's lovely at this time of year. What are you up to? Looking to cash in a reward, actually. When I was on my way up to Yabon last month, I found a chest in this area, but I couldn't pick the lock on the thing. I figured it wasn't meant to be, and I left off. Thing is, all through the Duchess's party, I couldn't help but think about it. I had the chest on the brain. I don't really care what's in it, but I have to pick that lock. Okay, so now I have, like, this is a dialogue tree system where I can choose things, and things will get added to this list as I discover them in the world. I'm afraid my sense of direction and distance are a bit off right now. We all had a bit to drink last night, and we're still trying to shake off the effects. Which way is the nearest place we could get cleaned up? It must have been quite a bender if you're that confused. Head straight south along the main road, and that will take you into Lamont. If you're looking for good food, the Blue Wheel is a solid wager, although I warn you their Surani food can be a bit spicy. I, for one, could do with a little less sleeping on the ground. Any good inns? There's the Blue Wheel Inn in Lamont, or we might try the Dusty Dwarf in Hawks Hollow. Suppose if you got really desperate, you could try breaking into one of the abandoned houses in that part of the country, but I can't sleep well in a house that may fall on top of me. Of course, it may be that people have moved on for good reasons. I've heard that several people south of L'Oreal moved out after a contagion began spreading there. Was anything left behind in any of the empty houses? Nothing of real value. Bits of food in a few cupboards, occasional gold piece kicked underneath the foundation of the house. Lost items mainly. The majority of places I visited had those unpickable locks. What are they called? Weber locks. Yes, they had Weber locks installed, so I wasn't able to get inside. I'm not certain, but I think I may have mislaid a very valuable belonging of mine. I shouldn't worry about it. Depending on where you lost it, the chances are good it will still be there. So that is hinting at the fact that, how the fuck do I do this? I could swear there are ways, yeah, maybe not, maybe I'm wrong. I could swear that there are ways to split up item stacks like this, but I can't find it. Owen shoved rations into a spare bag. Right, I can just give one and keep the rest. And then that will be on the path, right? That generates an object on the path that if I can see it and click on it, those rations will remain there, although they will spoil over time. Anyway, okay, cool. Cool beans. All right, I'm continuing to head south, I think. I'm close to Lamont. Okay, so that wasn't that far, but we actually didn't do that much. I'm going to go to Lamont. Lamont's a fun place. There's an inn. I can try my hand at barding. Hey, look, what's that? Something had been buried under the dirt. A hole's not big enough to put a man in. Here's some rations. And here, this is used for repairing bows. Yes, when crossbow strings start to lose their cohesiveness, it repairs bows. So as anyway, Gorath is going to be my repairmeister. That was like a little. There's these little road signs, right? It tells me that it's Lamut, and then I'm gonna go into Lamut. And then this is sort of how town works. And it actually, this is, there are a couple of different types of towns. So Lamut is a larger town, so it is not presented as geometry. It's just presented as sort of this picture and description. There are other towns like Yaban is actually like a road through a bunch of houses. We'll go up there next. But I can mouse around, and there's different things that I can do. I'm gonna go to the inn. Here's the blue wheel. I can talk to folks. I'm gonna talk to this guy. Sumani clapped twice. Abruptly, the festive mood of the room died. The clank of goblets and the scrape of plates falling silent as the bartender shuffled between benches to bow at Locklear's feet, touching a gnarled fist to his forearm. Be welcome to the Blue Wheel Inn. May you find the drinks to your liking, the company of our patrons pleasurable. If there's anything our servants or I may do, you need only ask. Honors to your house as well, Sumani. Am I correct in believing this is a drinking establishment? So it is. We serve many of your Midkimian drinks, as well as a few of the Suranuani Empire as well. Perhaps I might interest you in a cup of coca. Why did you decide to come to Midkimia and open an inn anywhere? Surely there are better, you would get better business on Kelluan. Don't actually know what that is. Like, imagine me at 11 years old, not having read any of these books, like, grappling with this world that is presented in a kind of half-formed state. Like, clearly, this is a sprawling, well-defined world that is I'm only seeing a tiny slice of. It was such a fun sort of experience. Anyway, but only for an 11-year-old. Like, I would hate that in a game today. I was not always a tavern keeper here as a soldier, but I was trapped here when the Rift Gate was collapsed at the end of the Rift War. Rifts are like a big deal in the Krondor Midkimia series. So Kelluan is the world across the rift. Okay, yes. So like the Rift War is a major part, is a big part of the saga. It was our belief that we would never again see our families or the skies of Kelluan again. But Surani warriors traditionally kill themselves if they're in danger of falling captive to an enemy. That's true, but the Earl informed us that we were forbidden to dispatch ourselves until given leave to do so by a great one. I believe in Midkimia would call such one a magician. Until such a time, I content myself with running the Blue Wheel Inn. Okay, so I can ask about rift gates. I've heard there's a permanent rift gate is located near here, but there's little to see. It's not working. Temporary interruption of transport at some later point in the narrative of the game, which is structured into chapters. I think that maybe opens, or certainly it has significance again. Combat! You said you were a soldier. Would you be interested in teaching us some of your combat techniques? It'd be my honor, but I require a small fee. 75 sovereigns. I definitely don't have that much money. I wish that I could, but it seems we're low on funds. If you were willing to speak to Earl Kasumi up at the garrison, I'm certain you could arrange for a wage to be paid, and you could come back. And then armor repair. I don't know how much longer our armor is going to last. Any idea where we could get it repaired? I would suggest trying the garrison, but kingdom armor is made a different way. Perhaps the dwarves in Makmordain Kadal? Makmordain Kadal. We will probably spend a lot of time in Makmordain Kadal. I understand from speaking to Debal that the small ones are gifted when it comes to manufacturing weapons and armor. So armor repair is a thing. I can learn I can up my stats by essentially buying training. For example, I can talk to this dude who's a dwarf. I guess I don't really know the the mythology of dwarves in this. Being as a dwarf ne'er, obviously they're Scottish. Being as a dwarf ne'er forgets as much as his own name, I can recognize a strapping young man before me who was last saw as a boy. No slight intended, but I fear I don't recall the occasion. As, like the rest of your human kin, none among you can remember much past a week. I don't know. This is a lot of text. Not much to do with the Mac Mordain Cadal all collapsed. A Brak Nur has been seen down there. They'll be offering a hefty reward for its slaying, I'll might you if tradition holds too. Something of a challenge, as they are feast beasties even by dwarven standards. We're gonna go kill one. I've heard tales of these creatures of stone. Thank you, Dubal. The transitions between music is not always smooth, but, okay. I'm gonna talk to the barmaid. I can buy stuff from the barmaid, most notably rations. And then here's the, oh, and what's this guy? Fire up from a man's fingertips. Reach for the weapon. The bemused-looking fellow merely withdrew a pipe from his belt and lit embers with his magical flame. I really hadn't intended on frightening you. For some reason, this happens with unnerving regularity. You could do everyone the common courtesy of warning them, Gorath snapped. It's not quite so commonplace, it won't go without notice. Here's the best part of this game. Owen struggled with the lute. As soon as he had begun to play, he felt he was not so much playing a song as he was wrestling a beast 100 times his size. Numerous times the song eluded him, slipped out of his reach, only to fall into an obscure pit of noise. Out! 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 The tavern keeper urged, yanking the lute from Owen's hands. Be glad this crowd isn't in a worse mood. Give them time to calm down, and then you can come back. But only if you're coming for food. And it plays terrible lute music. But... nope, no such luck. Alright, well... I had a chance at improving my lute playing skills by doing that. And someday, in some town, I will play that song well enough that it'll sound good, and then they'll pay me money for it. And that's my dream. I found some money under a bridge, which is always nice. I can go to a shop, and I can buy and sell things, like, armor and whatnots, and a scroll. Eyes of Ishap, which I do not have, so I could buy that. But I don't have nearly enough money, right? Alright. No, wait. I shouldn't have left. I'm gonna go back. Let's take a super quick break. No, let's take a like a real break. Just not very long. We'll come back. We'll go back to Lamut. We'll finish Lamut.